Lesson 25, no new skills, all old skills. Same steps as lesson 24. The only issue is you're dealing with inequalities instead of equations. So at the finish, you're going to need a graph. And remember, we reverse the direction of the inequality only when we multiply or divide both sides by a negative value. Okay? So, looking at these, they're not going to be different from what we did last time. All right? I got a variable in two spots, so what does that mean I'm going to have to do? Distribute, combine, then use opposites. Okay? Remember, one way I could distribute if I don't want to deal with fractions is I could multiply each major term in the entire inequality by 8. 8 times fraction gets rid of the fraction. 14 minus 3x's. Minus 8 times 2x, 16x's, is less than 8 times 16, 128. That's distributing. Combine like terms. What are my like terms? Minus 3x minus 16x. So 14 minus 19x is less than 128. Then use my opposite operations. Okay, again, you guys make a lot of mistakes when we got positive number minus variable term. All right, this negative goes with the 19, not with the 14. So the way I get rid of a positive 14 is I subtract positive 14. All right, subtract 14 from both sides. We'll have negative 19x's is less than 114. Then I'm going to divide by negative 19, both sides. X is greater than, flip the symbol. Why? Because I'm dividing by a negative on both sides. We're going to need a calculator to deal with this. 114 divided by 19 negative will be negative 6. X is bigger than negative 6. How do we show that on a graph? Back to lesson 1, repeated in lesson 11. If you haven't handled lesson 11 yet, you should probably handle that before you handle this one. All right? So if you haven't passed skill 11 yet, you should work on that. Although I will say, if you pass skill 25 quiz and you haven't passed 11 yet, I'll give you credit for both. So you could catch up double here if this is starting to make sense to you in a way that it didn't before. Open circle, because x is not allowed to equal negative 6. Shade toward 0 above, because x is allowed to be bigger than negative 6. All right, so that's how an answer will look in skill number 25. Like I said, nothing new. All right, this is a combination of skill 24, skill 10, skill 11, skill 1. See if you can do that before I do. Again, 2 spots for x, so we're going to need 2. Distribute, combine, then use our opposite operations. Distribute, there's an understood negative 1 here. So we got 10 minus 5x's plus 4. All right, negative 1 times negative 4 is positive 4. Plus 8x's is greater than or equal to 32. All right, why did I not flip the sign around? I'm multiplying by negative 1. Because we only spin the sign around if we're multiplying both sides by a negative number. All right, combine like terms. 10 plus 4 is 14. Negative 5 plus 8x's. Negative 5x's plus 8x's is 3x's. All of that is bigger than or equal to 32. I distributed, I combined like terms. Now we're going to do opposite operations. All right, so Some number plus 14 is 32. What's that number? That number is 18. 18 plus 14 is 32. All right, some number times 3 is 18. What's that number? 6. X is bigger than or equal to 6. Graph it. Shade in 6 because X is allowed to equal 6. Shade above because X is allowed to be bigger than. Again, try it. Hit pause and try it. All right, we only have a variable in one spot, which means I could just go straight to opposite operations. 13 plus some number is 37. 13 plus some number is 37. That means the number is 24. All right, 24 plus 13, 37. That means what's in the box has to be bigger than 24. Some number times 8 is bigger than 24. That means what's in the box has to be bigger than 3. 3 times 8, 24. Some number minus 2 is bigger than 3. Some number minus 2 bigger than 3. That means that number needs to be bigger than 5. 5 minus 2 is bigger than 3. All right. So W is bigger than or equal to 5. I'm allowed to equal it, so I shade it in. I'm allowed to be bigger than it, so I shade above. Last example. Again, hit pause, see if you can do it before I do it. All right, I'm not going to do the times 5 thing. I'm going to do the divide decimal thing. So 4 plus 3 divided by 5 is 0.6 H's plus 14 divided by 5 is 2.8 minus 2 H's plus 9 is greater than or equal to 6. That's distributing. Combine like terms. Combine like terms. 4 plus 2.8 plus 9. 4 plus 2.8 plus 9. That's going to be 13, 15.8. 0.6H minus 2H is going to be negative 1.4 H's. All of that is bigger than or equal to 6. Opposite operations. Again, we've got this minus variable situation. Let's change it to a plus negative so we don't get confused. How do I get rid of a positive 15.8? Subtract 15.8. Both sides. We got negative 1.4 H's is bigger than or equal to negative 8.2. Double checking with this calculator. 6 minus 15.8 is negative 9.8. So I messed that up. All right, divide both sides by negative 1.4. H is less than or equal to, why am I flipping the sign? I'm flipping the sign because we're dividing both sides by a negative number. 9.8 divided by 1.4 7. H is less than or equal to 7. Shade in 7 because H is allowed to equal 7. Shade below 7 because H is allowed to be less than 7. Right? That's how this works. Lesson 25. Again, if you can't handle it, maybe you want to go back to lesson 11 if you didn't pass that yet. Maybe all the way back to lesson 1 if you didn't pass that yet, so that you can at least get some practice in and start progressing.